In April, April the 4th in 1967, Dr. King gave his first speech against the Vietnam War at a church called Riverside. It's a church called Riverside. That's when he first spoke against the Vietnam War and therefore war in general. Of course, today is Sunday, and I had a chance to sit down with some elders, and they pointed out some things that I pretty much knew already. But what is good about speaking with the elders, they can give you a much further insight on the information that you have obtained. They can give you a further insight on what transpired. And I happened to come in contact with four pastors who had churches in where I was born and raised at, which is Chicago, Illinois. And they were explaining to me that once Dr. King started speaking against the Vietnam War, a lot of pastors in the Chicago area turned against him. They turned against him. And these were gentlemen, or so-called gentlemen, that he knew for over 30 to 35 years. Now, this was back, I would say, you might as well say, between 1967 going into 1968, when Dr. King was unfortunately assassinated. Now, he's been knowing these men all of his life, and as long as everyone was talking about the love of Christ and all of the common Christian dialogue and sermons, everything was fine. But the moment he actually stood up and he spoke against war, which is something that everyone should be speaking against, despite what religion you belong to, they turned their backs on him. And they condemned him. And they didn't allow him to speak in their churches anymore. Considering this subject, like I said before, today is Sunday out here in Las Vegas. And me and 5 other brothers were just going around. And we were going to different churches. We wasn't disrupting anything. But we spent the whole morning all the way up to just an hour ago, going around listening to the content of the sermons. And no one is speaking about what's going on in Palestine. And so one of the brothers who we had a meeting with last week, the one who left his post, one of the brothers left his post, but he decided to go back to try to teach the people how the Christian, you might as well say, should not advocate war if they are indeed Christ-like. That didn't go too well. I mean, even during the sermons, he had men and women standing up, trying to interrupt him. And the look on his face was a face of disappointment and sadness and disgust. So this is being talked about because, as I said, and a whole lot of other brothers have been saying, the world is going into darkness. And the only way that things are going to get better, we have to become better human beings. Simple as that. And it seems like everything is fine until wartime comes up. And when it's really time to really speak against immorality, the body of Christ breaks up. And so to me, that separates the disciples from the Christians. You know, the same as when the disciples were speaking against Roman culture over there. Not only during the times of Nero, when he started feeding the disciples to the lions because they were speaking against Roman culture and therefore Western culture. And they were trying to help the people understand by participating in Roman culture and therefore Western culture is an affront to God and therefore an endangerment to their souls. Sports, all of the brutality in sports and the drinking and pretty much everything that you see going on this day. The foul music, the perverseness that's in the environment right now, that's currently affecting our little babies. All of those things were going on over there in the times of Nero. And this is one of the reasons why they started feeding the disciples to the lions, because the disciples were teaching people the truth, and they started getting to the people, and the people started not participating in Roman culture, and therefore their revenue was taken a strain. I mean, the same as you see today with this faith-based initiative grant. Some people are actually starting to think about those things, and we have some people who invited us to their homes, away from all of the discord and the conflict that this information is causing with people who refuse to let go of their comfort zones and to actually stand up for the facts, for the truth. So we are starting to get to the people to the degree they would rather invite us to their homes so that we may be able to sit down and help them understand where they're being led astray. So there is some progress going on. There is some progress going on. But what we are seeing, not only today, but a whole lot of pastors who were longtime friends are being, you might as well, friendships are breaking up because a lot of pastors are starting to wake up and understand their place. And they're starting to understand that whatever's going on this planet, if we are in fact concerned about the welfare of humanity as a whole, then you must speak against the evils that are transpiring on this planet, that this prophecy that was placed inside of this book will not fulfill itself in terms of the earth going into darkness because of the immorality of the human family. When there is left a choice to where, as I said before, and as many pastors are preaching today, we do have a choice to turn away from the wickedness of this world and save ourselves and be able to live a life of peace and prosperity. And I don't mean prosperity in terms of finance, but prosperity in terms of peace and harmony. And it's gotten to the point to where people have been living in discord and chaos and disorder for so long. When you talk this way, they think that you're being unrealistic. And if the majority of the people on the planet perceive this as an unrealistic reality, you might as well say an unrealistic thing, then that only gives a whole lot of force towards going into darkness, because it puts people in the position to where they feel hopeless. And when they feel hopeless, they themselves point to the Bible and say, well, the world is supposed to go in this direction. It's written. And so, there's just not enough pastors and people pointing out certain scriptures to where all of this can be prevented. The only thing that has to happen is, if the world's going to be saved, the human being has to save themselves first. and not just get brainwashed into this comfort zone when it comes to prophecy. And prophecy is going to usher you into darkness. The same way Adolf Hitler wrote in his book Mein Kampf when he was in prison in 1922, when he got out, he wrote in Mein Kampf that he was going to slaughter the Jews, and the people didn't take it serious. And when he got out, you saw what happened. When they should have took what the man wrote seriously, and had they had done that, that right there would have prevented the Holocaust from transpiring. As I said before, prophecy is an insight as well as a warning for the human family to turn from their wicked ways. And for what we are seeing, especially this morning, only one brother was standing up in his pulpit speaking about Palestine. One brother, after we went around to 8 different churches in the same area, only one brother was speaking against what's going on over there in Palestine. The other pastors, they didn't speak on it because those guys are concerned about tampering with their faith-based initiative grant. So with this being said, I'm going to let everyone go because there's some things that I need to look into, and we're going to stay up on top of this whenever the time demands. And I just want everyone to understand, like Dr. King said, if there is an injustice anywhere, then there's an injustice everywhere. You can't look at this happening as, well, it's going on with those people over there, because if it's going on anywhere on the planet, it in time is going to filter this way. And that's the law of karma. Because if you don't care, and if you put that in the universe, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. However, the root of caring should never be rooted in fear. It should be always rooted in love, a love for humanity. And that's what it's all about. And for some reason, a whole lot of people are not understanding that. And it's only because of the pastors are not teaching us. And this is why Yeshua has said, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Well, how come the people don't know what they're doing? How come the people are not in clarity of what's going on? It's because of the pastors. See, the people are nothing but their fruit, and a man is known of his fruit. The reason why the people are lost is because these pastors are lost. And with that being said, I'm going to greet everyone a good evening. And everyone, enjoy your evening and stay human. Peace.